they don't look like they're having fun. Your
Right.
dad is clearly running your account. Your dad is having you get in the backyard and do all these like tippity tap but soccer drills or run on the overspeed treadmill and you look malnourished doing it and the girl
Hmm.
looks exhausted. And I'm like, it really reminded me of the Kidfluencer documentary of the mom having her girl become this social media sensation for her own agenda. Dave, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Erica. Hello, everybody. Thank you.
Happy Friday, everyone. Well, that's when we're recording this. Dave, we usually record on Fridays because it's our one morning, I guess, off where we can just chat about everything we're observing in the world of youth sports and girls soccer. And there's never a dull moment, right?
There's lots to talk about. Let's just put it that way.
There sure is. And I want to kick this off by telling everyone about this crazy documentary I just watched on Netflix. Have you heard of the Kidfluencer documentary?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I actually regret watching it because it made me really sad. It also spooked me. It made me sick to my stomach. But it was basically about this young girl who by the age of like 10 or 11, she was super young and her mom started a YouTube page for her because she was a very bubbly girl. She had a lot of talent. She was really good on camera. So her mom started this YouTube page where she did all these really funny skits with her friends. It was all fun and games, and she went viral and blew up before the age of 12. Her name is Piper Raquel. A lot of you listening probably have heard of this name in this story, but she basically blew up and started, gosh, bringing in like 50,000 a month on YouTube alone, and they're
Mhm.
making millions at this point. And the
Sure.
mom is like, "Oh my gosh, we really need to take advantage of this and get my daughter to continue doing these videos." And they were pumping out content every single day. They would record videos 12 hours a day to the point where the girl wouldn't eat or they would forget to feed her. She hardly was sleeping. And for a while, she did it. She had the energy. And then by the time she got 13, 14, you can see in this documentary the girl is exhausted. She is not
Hmm.
having fun with it anymore. She is totally burnt out. And the mom is like, no, we have to keep doing this because the mom is living in a multi-million dollar home in, I think, Beverly Hills. And she has a mortgage to pay. And she realized that she put all of her eggs in her daughter's basket on her YouTube channel and
Hmm.
basically has her daughter being this kid fluencer. And yeah, it was just very eye-opening and terrifying. It just made me think about the current state of youth sports, and you have parents creating accounts for really young children and having them get on camera, show they're constantly on their grind, hashtag no days off. They're hiring videographers to take like these professional photo shoots, like of a girl
Hmm.
holding a soccer ball and striking a model pose or having this like serious face. And I struggle to believe that a 10 to 12-year-old girl voluntarily wants to do this. Hey guys, just want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, Simply Faster, and one of my favorite speed timing systems from them, the Free Lap. I use it for my own sprint training as well as for my athletes, and they love it. It's super easy to set up, you can take it to the field on your own, and you can get accurate speed times to track your progress. Check the Free Lap link in the caption below to start adding timing into your speed sessions. If you know me, you know I love my Free Lap. If you're serious about speed, it's time to start timing.
Hmm.
Like I really struggle to like think that they actually want to do this. And I observe some of these girls and I really look at these accounts and I'm just like, they don't look like they're having fun. Like your
Right.
dad is clearly running your account. Your dad is having you get in the backyard and do all these like tippity tap but soccer drills or run on the overspeed treadmill and you look malnourished doing it and the girl
Hmm.
looks exhausted. And I'm like, it really reminded me of the Kidfluencer documentary of the mom having her girl become this social media sensation for her own agenda and to make
Right.
money or get her girl exposure. And I think some of it in youth sports, it's really no different.
I agree 100%. the landscape has just changed so much with technology. And I'm also attributing some of this. I think it's going to get a lot worse because of the NIL, right? Because now, no matter who you are, you can make a lot of money off of your personal name, image, and likeness, and it doesn't matter how old you are. You don't. Oh, did I freeze on you a little bit there?
You're good.
No, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are. You can make money and not lose your amateur status, right? That has changed the landscape. I will say this, if it's a kid that does have a shot or the goal is to play in college, they better do it the right way. Um, because there's a lot of legalities that people don't know. You don't just sign with an agent and then start signing deals for small, medium, and large companies and making money. You can get into a lot of trouble from a tax situation, from a legal situation, and you can lose your ability to play in collegiate athletics if you don't do it the right way. Uh, but I think because what's the desired outcome, right? I'm gonna make my son or daughter famous by the time they're 14 and make all this money off of them, like whether they like that sport or what they're doing or not. What's the purpose? What's the long-term goal there, right? You and I have talked a lot, especially lately, about these parent-driven or parent-managed Instagram accounts or YouTube accounts. And that has also been something that has morphed where it used to be not too long ago, a successful soccer player in our world that was trying to get recruited. So they have a channel or a page or an account that college coaches can go to and see what they're all about, see their highlights, see that they're a good kid, because it can also work on the other side of it, right? I know coaches that have taken kids off their list because of their social media accounts, but it's just everything becomes so extreme. It's scary what is happening. It's really, really scary. And I'm really worried about what's going to happen to these kids when they're adults. So it might be great now. They might think it's fun now. What happens when it gets old? What happens in our world when they get hurt? What happens in our world if all of a sudden, from a developmental standpoint, everybody catches up to them and they're a good player, but they're not a standout player like they were when they were 9 or 10. There's just a lot to this that I think people are being short-sighted, and it's almost abusive, I will say that.
It really concerns me, especially for the mental health repercussions. And we talk about developing the human first and
Hmm.
not always being on this sports grind or on social media documenting your whole journey. Like it's like you're finding meaning in the external validation, and you're teaching young girls to always chase external validation. And my question
Hmm.
is, are they really learning to have that passion themselves and really fall in love with their sport or their hobby? And when I watched that Piper Raquel documentary, she
Hmm.
just burned out towards the end. And even now, I checked back at her YouTube channel, and she has to like constantly stay up to date with her content. I mean, she started so early, and now it's completely shifted to more clickbait and wilder things and provocative things too. And she's still a minor, I believe. I think she's 16 or 17 now. But it's like
Hmm.
when you're doing that for so long as a kid, eventually you're going to be like, well, how can I get more clicks? And you're going to go to extremes. And kids are very
Yeah.
susceptible to that because their brains aren't developed and they just feel they have to keep their followers engaged and interested and I need to get more likes and more
Hmm.
exposure. And it's so dangerous young. And I see parents pushing that on their kids with these parent-run social media accounts. And the parents get addicted to the likes that sometimes they get caught up in that viral content. And it's not
Hmm.
always the best for the child.
Right. And it's not one of these, it's not an account for a puppy. Like I see those all the time too, because we have pets and it's like, oh my gosh. Then the algorithm kicks in and I see all these dog videos. And that's great because dogs do what they do. You put it on and it's cute and people want to see that. But it quickly escalates from I want to help my son or daughter be seen, be known for who she is on and off the field, right? It's, in my opinion, it's impossible not to get caught up in the clicks and the likes and what's a good hook and what will grab people's attention ahead of just who is my daughter? This is the way she trains. This is the way she eats well. This is the way she rests. This is the way she shows she still has a social life with her friends. This is how she shows on these days we just go for a bike ride or we go to the beach. Like the totality of who she is as a person and as a human being, um, it quickly becomes what is going to get more views. And it's just human nature. It doesn't happen overnight. It goes from this to extreme. Like you said, now it's kind of some of the content's like, oof, that was kind of cringy to see a 16-year-old girl doing that or wearing that or whatever it is. Because again, it's all okay. How do we play into the algorithm? I guarantee you, most of these people have bought a course or Googled, how to get more views. And it's something, and I know about it, and you know about it because we post educational material every single day. And I myself get caught up in, are people going to watch this? Is it going to hook someone for at least 5 seconds so that they'll watch more and at least hear what I have to say about youth athletic development, training for soccer, training to long-term athletic development so that they have success now and into adulthood.
Okay, I'm about to blow your mind here, Dave, because you mentioned followers who's viewing this. So in the documentary, they did a study on what types of people are following kidfluencers, especially females. 90% were men, older men. So, not to scare parents, but even if your daughter has a soccer account, just be aware of that.
That's scary.
There are weird people on the internet. And that's why I have such a huge problem with young girls being on social and always sharing everything about their lives. And even if it's just their soccer journey, you just don't know. I mean, you can make your account private, but most of these girls are making their account public so that college
Hmm.
coaches can see them, which is also a lie. You don't get recruited from social media. I recruited in college. I've talked to college coaches, and we don't have time to pay attention to who's tagging us and watch videos. I mean, these coaches receive thousands of emails a week. So,
Yep.
like, you're not going to get recruited on social media alone. Like,
Hmm.
so yeah, that stat just really scared me. And I just have to bring awareness to it for the parents listening.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I didn't know that. And
I
that
didn't
is so
either.
again, what's the desired outcome?
What's the audience like you're attracting?
Right. And if if there's a dad or a mom that's managing one of these accounts, are they also managing like I block someone almost every day. right? I'm sure you get people that what's the slide into your DMs, right?
Surprisingly,
And
I don't. I think people just don't
I
want to mess with me.
yeah,
But I've blocked for
yeah,
sure. I've blocked.
right? Who's managing that side of these young girls' accounts, right? To make sure there's not a predator. And do do their kids have actual access to it, right? I just question
And do they
what
know
they
that you're
perceive.
posting? Do they know that you're posting a video of it?
Right, right,
They're minors. Like they have no control over any of this.
right.
And
It's
then when
just
when
it
they're
comes
18, they might be like, "Dad, why did you post that?"
right. I know our kids like don't post about me.
Yeah.
It'll be like, "Oh, buddy, I got your goal on film. Don't put that on Facebook."
Wow. See?
They just don't. It's not about that. It's just I question what the desired outcome is. What is the goal? And we need to take a hard look at that. And I know from a policy standpoint, they're taking a look at that too in terms of like who can have accounts and all of that because it's a waste. It's also at the very, very least, I think it gives a very unrealistic look at what it takes or does not take to be successful as a young soccer player, football player, whatever, um, as a young athlete. Because it typically, you said it perfectly right. It's about the grind, no days off. Every day is, you know, I'm not smiling. I'm just working hard. And look at me, I'm on day 192. It's unrealistic and it sets more kids up for failure because parents don't know what they don't know also, right? It's very easy, and that's a problem with today. We talked about what our fees are before we went on today, and anyone can get any kind of information they want, even faster now. They don't even have to Google it. They go to ChatGPT and say, you could type in, give me 10 of the best exercises to develop speed in a 12-year-old female soccer player. Within 3 seconds, you're going to have 10 activities that have not been vetted. ChatGPT does not know who your daughter is, what her strengths and weaknesses are, what her schedule is like, what her injury history is, if she has any, what her movement ability and capabilities are, what her mobility is like, what her flexibility is like, what her skill is like in terms of changing direction. And I could go on and on and on. Anyone can get any information for free. So, from a consumer standpoint, also, meaning consuming social media, which so many people do for hours and hours and hours on end, there's more information out there now, more of these posts about the unrealistic training for young athletes. And that's, more and more, we're getting the kids that are already overtrained, overloaded, early specialized, injured in my case, everyone's banged up. And I'm just trying to put them back together again so they can have some success in their training sessions with their teams and in their matches on weekends. I feel like that is the majority of what I do during the week now. I have these conversations with kids. I get so excited because I'll say something like, Erica, I'm so pumped. Now we're at the point where we're really getting, we're past just making you feel good and move well. Now we can actually work on making you stronger and faster. That's so exciting, right? But that might be 6 months of work because every week it's like Humpty Dumpty. We're putting Humpty Dumpty back together again so that they can at least stay at the level they are. I will say this, and I'd be I think I know your answer to this. I'm going to ask you if you agree. My most successful athletes in any sport, but I'll just pick soccer. And I'm talking about high level D1, like Michigan, like high level. My most successful athletes rested more than anyone else, like 100% rested, took naps, didn't go out on a Friday night because they wanted to go to bed early, took days off even when their teams didn't want them to. And that's just rest. We're not going to talk about hydration and nutrition and working on their mental and emotional health. 100%. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yep. And they did intentional hard work.
Hmm.
So their quote unquote grind was doing a solid 4 days a week of quality training, quality reps, and then their rest days were true rest days.
Hmm.
And I think the most successful people in anything, whether you're an entrepreneur or a doctor, like you do very quality, intentional work, and then you truly rest when you're resting.
Hmm. If you're already tired, you can't have that high level, high intensity quality training that you need. So what you end up doing is medium to just above medium all the time because you're always striving to try to get better. You're already in a cycle of overtraining because what happens when people overtrain is they don't realize it, but they start to feel tired. So, why am I out of shape? I shouldn't be tired. I need to work harder. Why do I feel a little slower? I need to do more speed work. I shouldn't feel slow because I train so much. So what happens is the volume increases. They do more at a mid-range intensity and they never get where they want to be. And what happens is they get burnt out. Where if you go quality, purposeful, high intense, and rest just as purposefully, just as intensely, that's when you get this and you go up. So people, and that's what I can't stand about the grind is people have it backwards or upside down or inside out. It's not, grind every day. I'm just tired all the time. I'm going to use this example. Coach Holler, right? Track coach?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes.
He's
I
been on many
believe,
times.
yes, I believe this was a post from him. He's got to work. I believe it's Coach Holler, who I respect so much. He talks all the time about he does not train, he trains for speed, not to make them tired. And there's a difference. And he's got a workout, and it's one of his favorite workouts. And I saw the video of it. It takes a total of about an hour, but there are 10 warm-up exercises, one set each, and two sprints. Have you seen that?
Yes, the I think you're talking about his atomic workout, and
Yeah.
I incorporate my own touch to it as well because in our
Hmm.
speed sessions we're really only doing maybe 5 minutes of actual intense outputs, and then the rest is recovery.
100%. So
Mhm.
people watching this, again, it takes about an hour, a little bit less. There are 10 warm-up exercises that are done super intensely, like for real. Like you are getting after these for about 10 meters. It's skipping exercises, like all the stuff that we've seen, uh, with a lot of full rest in between. But it's got to be at 100% effort, full rest in between, and then two sprints, two 40-meter sprints all out. Two,
With a 5 minute
not
rest in between those two sprints.
full
Don't get
recovery.
back on the line in 30 seconds, please.
Right. And this, for those of you who don't know Coach Holler, he's pound for pound one of the best speed coaches anywhere, and his athletes are fast,
He's a legend.
fast.
And my
Mm-hmm.
audience is very familiar with Tony because he's been on the podcast, I think, 4 or 5 times. And I've even given him credit in my presentations at soccer conferences. I mean, my community knows him well. If you don't, please check out Tony Holler.
Mm-hmm. And he's not the only one who understands this. Any coach who has studied and been educated knows it's about volume, just, but it's not about getting as much volume as you can. It's about quality and getting as much recovery. And that's, it's an easy, if you do coach kids, it's an easy way, for me anyway, it's been an easy way to communicate how we need intensity for you to get better, right? Because it sometimes you have tough days, tough to work hard. So it's like you can not work hard and have less rest, or you can work really hard and you're going to get max rest,
I
right?
think
So they're like, oh, I want more rest, so I'm going to work hard for short bouts. That sounds like a lot more fun.
if you can have a couple days a week of high intensity and quality training sessions where you're not completely obliterated after, but you feel energized. You feel like you did
Hmm.
something. You felt like you were explosive, as
Hmm.
opposed to 7 days a week of just mediocre, not high speed sessions where you're not really getting much out of it. I'm gonna choose that the couple days of high intensity. And you'll find this interesting, Dave. So I've been working with a girl for the past 4 months, and her dad just sent me an email, and their goal was speed. And we've been working on speed. We've been getting her strong, and we've been incorporating some of these short atomic speed workouts. And he emails me and he says, I don't feel like she's faster yet. And I was like, I have never gotten an email like this where someone hasn't gotten results by this point. So I put on my Sherlock Holmes hat and started to investigate this. And I found out that she was training 7 days a week, and her dad was having her do long distance runs on days she wasn't seeing me. On days she didn't have practice, she was doing ladder drills and other running drills and banded work and just all these extra workouts. So she had no recovery 7 days a
Hmm.
week. And then I was like, we need to talk, sir. This is the problem. And I really had to educate him on that more is not always better, and doing more will hinder her speed and explosiveness because recovery is a priority for speed. That should
Hmm.
be the first thing you do because otherwise, like you said, you're going to have these mediocre, half-assed, excuse my language, sessions, and she's just going to hit a wall. And we had a
Hmm.
chat and he understood it, but that's an example I hear from a lot of parents who talk to me, and they're like, "Yeah, we used to think we
Hmm.
had to train 7 days a week, but we heard your message and we stopped doing that. And our daughter's not only been more explosive, she's also stayed healthy. She's not always tired. I think the fatigue, it's one of the first symptoms of overtraining syndrome. If your daughter is
100%. That's where it
tired,
starts.
I've seen girls yawn a lot. I'm like, you're 13. You should not be yawning all the time. If your girl is
Hmm.
yawning a lot during the day, that's a red flag. I mean, really pay attention to fatigue. If it's chronic, you have to change something.
100%. I say this all the time. More is not better. Better is better. And unfortunately, I think it's counterintuitive to parents that don't know. It's like, no, she's got to do more. She's got to do more. She's got to do more. This isn't working. We'll add this trainer too. Oh, we'll get a speed and agility specialist to go along with her strength and conditioning specialist to go along with her private skills trainer. It's more is not it's not better. Better is better. And it has to be the right things. People don't realize that 6 through 13 especially, but then I'm seeing it more and more and more from 14 years old, 15, 16. I have a 17-year-old junior right now that I'm working a ton on this with. Um, Great players, but they're not great athletes. And what I mean by that is they're uncoordinated. And coordinated, even when I grew up, is like, well, you're either coordinated or you're tripping over your own feet all the time, right? That's not there's so many aspects to coordination. There's something called contralateral coordination. Can you coordinate your right hand with your left foot and run properly? There's the coordination of crossing your midline and knowing where your body is in space. There's balance, both static and dynamic. There's like 8 or 9 different elements of coordination that I work on with kids that helps them. It's the foundation of speed. Me just putting them through, well, I don't use ladders for ladder drills. I use them for warm-ups, but me putting them through ladder drills or shuttle runs or beep tests or without increasing their overall coordination, things like jumping rope for timing and rhythm. My athletes jump rope every single session, not for 20 minutes. My athletes jump rope as part of our warm up. We'll do 3 to 4 rounds of 20 seconds on, at least 20 seconds off. And sometimes it's more because we'll talk in between, or I'll give them, in between 20-second jump rope bouts of jumping rope. I'll say, all right, this next time you jump rope, I want you to make plays in your head. And every play has to be you dribbling the ball and just like going by people like they're standing still, pulling out your best moves. I want them to run those little movies in their head because that subconsciously helps them with their confidence. Then the next round, I might say, all right, you're going to run through little movies in your head. You're making plays and you're connecting passes and just mix it up. It's a through ball. It's a ball in the space out wide. It's a ball over the top to an on running overlapping midfielder. Like whatever you want to think about, this is your game. But I want you to run through those and every pass connects when you do it. You're not allowed to think about, oh, what if I pass it out of bounds or the other team gets it. Everything's success. But so how does that transfer back to coordination? Athletes, especially soccer players, but I'll just say athletes in general, have to move, think, and breathe all at the same time. And I'm noticing a lot of kids don't do all those things well, especially at the same time. So if we can practice that in the context of our sessions, well, is that going to help them be quicker? Absolutely. Is it going to help them accelerate? Absolutely. It's foundational stuff that kids are not getting because they're specializing at 6 years old. They're a soccer player at 7, and they're not getting the fundamental movement skills they need to be fast, to be strong. And they can get away with a lot until they're about 14 when everybody catches up.
I love talking to you about all this stuff because we're very similar in our philosophy and how we run our programs. And yeah, I
Mhm.
just wish there were more Dave Gleasons of the world. We have a handful in our industry who just really understand sports and movement skills and the needs of the youth athlete at each stage in their development and what buckets they need to fill in their physical development. And like you said, it's just coming back to the basics of do they have coordination and balance and rhythm? And these are three core things for athletes to be able to express speed. So if they are on a shaky foundation, then they're not going to be fast. So yeah, I really encourage parents. I mean, social media is the wild, wild west, and I think now more than ever, parents really have to use discernment and sift through the noise and follow just a few trusted experts and don't look around. Like, stick with a few experts and follow their process and commit to it all in. And don't get distracted by, well, is my friend training with this person or what should we do here? Like, if you are with someone who has a well-rounded performance program, they do age appropriate and maturity appropriate training, they're filling the right buckets in your child's development, they make it fun, they develop the human first as well, then you're with a great performance coach. You really can't go wrong. So I'll just end there. Do you have anything else, Dave?
The only thing I want to do, maybe to put a bow on what you just said, because we talked about this offline before we went on, was one of my recent posts about how, and I think this is how parents can look at training programs and what their kids are doing. If it's really think, if it's not setting, what they're doing is not setting them up for success when they're an adult, ultimately it's setting them up for failure because not because it's not when or it's not if their athletic career ends, their competitive career ends, it's when. And it could be in high school, it could be in college, it could be beyond that, but it is going to end and it's going to end at a young age. Okay. And even, for someone who's played very competitive, adult soccer, amateur adult soccer with other people in my age group, you know, I, I'm lucky enough to know how to take care of myself and to train properly to still play the game and not get hurt. The teams that I've been on, we struggle with our roster because guys just get hurt. And I'm of the younger generation. I'm an older generation. These young kids, what is it going to look like when they're 30 years old? Are they going to know how to take care of themselves? Are they going to know how to train properly? So parents, when you see all this stuff on social media, really think about, is that going to help them now and long term? Or is that just about now? Because they're not mutually exclusive. You should and you can have both.
Boom. Mic drop. We'll end right there. That was perfect. And that's such good advice for parents to just really sift through the noise and find the right performance program for their young athlete. So, Dave, as always, thank you again. Everyone, I'll include Dave's links in the caption below. He has such amazing content on everything youth training. He also works with athletes and parents, does consulting and speaking. He has a lot going on, so be sure to check him out, and I'll see you guys next time.